Hello and welcome to Module 8, Unit 1, Activity 2 case study. The study that I'm doing, I chose a student. I talked it over with my mentor teacher and my co-teacher, and his name is Tim. He's one of the lower level students in my class, probably the lowest level student in my class, but overall still a pretty good student. Let's take a look here at some of Tim's background information. He's in the 6th grade. He's from Korea and has lived in the Seoul area his whole life. He's an only child. He comes from, his parents are still together, and it's a high income household. Most of the students at this school, because it's a private school, are from households that are similar like that. The father works within the Korean judicial system. I'm not sure if he's a lawyer. He didn't really get into that. But something that happened, I'll get into more detail later about this, but okay, he did not pass his middle school evaluation test, which I'll talk about that more later. His academic and behavioral problems. In class, he's easily distracted by students that are around him. He has trouble focusing on the task at hand. He frequently comes to class unprepared, and in the beginning of the semester, this was happening all the time to the point where one of his textbooks was lost, and he had to get another one, which he did. And his comprehension is below average. And we'll talk more about that later. Things I have observed. Sometimes students, because I guess he's kind of on the lower end of the academic level, the students will sometimes laugh at his responses. It doesn't really seem to faze him that much, though. He loves video games. He loves soccer, but is not an elite player. Once a month, I take them outside and we play soccer. And there'll be a few instances I remember where he should have scored a few goals, kind of wide open, but the kids were pretty hard on him. But that's, pretty normal. I think behavior for students of that age. He displays good self-control and is well liked by his classmates. He doesn't get too upset. He's never really violent. He's never really hurting or causing huge disruptions in the classroom during class and outside of class. Here's some examples of Tim's work. This is his essay writing skills. We've spent a lot of time on structure, on having a proper introduction with your thesis and points, having a hook to start it off, and this is something where he really, really struggled. And you can see here on the left side, I'm asking him to come see me, his points. We go through the points, everyone has the same points. He just wasn't getting it, and it came to the point where this is one of his best attempts where he was pretty close to understanding, but then just for some reason or another stopped handing in his journals. And I might have mentioned something to the homeroom teacher about it, but journals, I guess, is sort of a voluntary thing, so they're not forced to do it. It's just kind of, I asked him a few times why he's not handing in his journal, and he just said he was really busy and didn't have time to do it. And it's unfortunate because he was very close to grasping the proper structure. Next, this is debate class. This is an example of where he's basically on track with the other students. His handwriting is decent. He's filling in the appropriate areas. And this is an example. This is one of the times that he forgot his books, and then I told him for his homework that he's got to catch up and fill out what all the other students have filled out. I even told him what student to borrow, who has great notes, and he just really never took that opportunity and really didn't do it at all. But it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes I mean, with math, he's really quite good at math. You can see here some of his practice tests: 11 out of 12, 13 out of 16. He's really good with math. He's usually one of the first 2 or 3 students that are done when it comes time for them to do their equations, and really confident in his class, and I think it's one of his favorite classes. History, he does well with history. He sometimes, he's really brave and will, he's not scared to answer any of the questions. But sometimes you can tell with his answers that the comprehension is just, he's not there for the other students. And the other students can hear sometimes the things that he's saying and kind of laugh, because his comprehension level is just a lot lower than the other students. But he tries pretty hard, and he said he's confident and he's not scared to answer the questions when it's his turn. I notice a lot of students, when it's their turn, if they don't know the answer, they won't even dare say it. But he never shies away from giving it his best shot. Social science, you can see here, pretty good. He's on track. You can see I gave him a tip to either when we're unscrambling sentences, because he would always, Mr. Boudreau, what can you say it again? Can you say it again? And you can see that he numbered. I told him to number. When you hear it once, instead of trying to write it down, number the words. That way you'll be able to hear it once and then write it down at your own pace. And that really helped him out a lot. And it wasn't asking to hear it over and over again. But on pace and doing pretty well with social science. And this is an example of, on the left side, it's a previous teacher the semester before, because we split the semesters and I get them one half, he gets them the other half. With my kids, with my students, I do peer evaluation, like I have them switch books and they mark each other. And here, he marked everything, but I find with peer evaluation, when they're marking their partner's work or they're being marked, that they don't want to lose face. So it seems that the students react pretty well to this and work harder and put more effort into their work. It seems to be working really well with them. Here's some examples of his assessments. These are his tests. This is September. There was math, science, subject length, debate, and grammar. It was basically math and science, and then a listening and speaking test, and reading as well. It's in there. And he's right near the top of the class in September. Did very well. But as you can see, everyone in this class does really well. There's not really someone who's, what's the word, an outlier that's really far off the pace. Here in October was a tough month for them, because this was when they were studying for their middle school entrance, I guess, or evaluation exams. And I said I would get into that more. He ended up not passing it and was devastated by it. That day at school, he was crying, and there was only a few students that didn't get in. So I don't know if he's going to end up going to public school now, but it's a religious school, so he's not allowed to. I guess the family has friends and stuff, so it was pretty hard on him, and he missed, I think, just multiple days a week because he was staying at home and studying for the middle school entrance test, and this is, I think, the main reason why his marks were so low there, because he just missed so many classes. In November, he's back to normal with his levels. You can see he's not, at the top, but still good marks. Like even though his marks seem to be the lowest, but they're still good. They're still, high level marks. And once again, he didn't have the pressure of those tests, so he was able to concentrate more in class and on his homework as well. So his abilities, his reading and pronunciation are above average. He can, his TH pronunciations, his R's, he can really speak well. And when he puts his mind to it, his penmanship's really, really good, but it just comes down to his comprehension. He's just lacking in, he just needs more exposure to English. And his math, as you know, is above average. Actually. Comprehension is the main problem with him. Homeroom teacher and parents. My homeroom teacher and we rarely speak. He doesn't really speak English that well. And Tim, even though he's the lower level student in the class, he's not really a problem. We don't really have to, his behavior, everyone in the class is pretty well behaved. There's no one's getting stabbed with pencils, or there's no TAs in the room helping students. They're all really sharp and good students. It's a good class. So, a recap of what Tim's problems are is just sometimes in the beginning of the semester it was an issue. Now he's definitely progressed. He's made photocopies and gotten other textbooks of the books that he was missing. He comes to class prepared almost all the time. Yes, I say here, one of the problems was he had trouble focusing, but he's getting a leash on that. I find that is most noticeable in his group work. When he's in a group, I notice that it's really hard for him to stay on task. His comprehension, once again, it needs improvement. And the solutions that I've done are just simple verbal warnings. When he's acting up in class, it's just sometimes I don't even need to speak to him. I just look at him, and he recognizes that he's doing something wrong. Very quickly, also, Mr. Guzman, he knows what he was doing wrong and really doesn't want to do it. He's not a bad kid. And for his comprehension, I've given him extra work, extra reading, and it is helping. So that's Tim, and I know wasn't a very exciting case study, but there's been definite improvements, and thanks for listening.